really, but whatever. Hey, it's me, Soul today. Just rambling about my own thoughts, I guess, today. In this episode of Tucking Time with Caffeine. Because I really don't have a guest. If I can get one today. But today, talking about fictional changes and why some people are against them. Oh, hello. Hey, right on target. Hi, just a random episode today about fictional changes. All your opinion about it is about some people getting upset about changing characters in fiction. Like, you have an opinion about it? About certain changes that happen? Like, some people, like, I remember the most recent one I know about, obviously, is what I remember people complaining about before was the change to MJ in Spider-Man. I've mentioned this before, my channel before, but I really didn't. I didn't mind it. But he was an African American black character now. Because to be honestly, the Sam Raimi MJ Mary Jane, I didn't really like her that much. She was a terrible character, in my opinion. I think it's more the writing than the color or sex of their character than anything else. And her writing was terrible, and the Michelle Jones character writing was better, in my opinion. The same cannot be said, however, for another change that happened in recent history is the Ghostbuster chains in 2016. That's a big conspiracy right there. That's a big conspiracy, controversy right there. And I'll also mention this on the channel, but I think the writing just sucked, so the movie just sucked. It had nothing to do with them being female. It was. It had to do with like no connection to all of the original one. The original Ghostbusters were like just cameos, I guess, and it was full of bad jokes and all that, and I don't think anybody would complain about the change in the gender change of the characters if the movie actually was good. I mean, sure, there'd be some people complain about it because people complain about everything. There'd be some sexist or racist person change. Like, no, that was terrible. But no, this is my opinion again, but if the movie had been good, and good writing and stuff, and good directing, then I don't think they would care about the changes. But yeah, they didn't, and it sucked. And another one, most recent one, would be I think everyone's heard about this one already. Is my third choice on this list is the Velma Scooby Doo thing, where the characters, I guess, no Scooby Doo in it at all, and it was just like just change people for the sake of changing them. No character development, no nothing. We're this way now, so get used to it. And I think everyone hated that for that reason. Again, probably some people hate it because different different races, but that's just stupid. I think it's more about character development and stuff. So, what's all your opinion, people watching right now? I see I have 5 viewers. Hope you hit that like up button if you do like it. Hopefully you do. And you have opinions? Since I no guest to talk to, so it's gonna be a short episode if there's no interaction. Hey, Jane says, well, look at the Batman, how they bust rolls. Well, it's a trails by Cookie and Joker, and then they bring Joker back for Christian Bale. All right. Sure, what's your email? Or whatever, email I'll email you the link. What's rolls? Oh. Yeah, just you know. Yeah, if you just exit, if you want to email me your email, just okay. I'll send you the link. Or wait for that. What's another one? Oh, oh, I mean, they change actors all the time, storyline, but that's different than changing a race of a character or sex of a character. Really, because I don't think we, I don't think we've had I don't think we had a black Batman yet. Of course, they've had female. They've had Batgirl. I don't think they've had a female Batman yet. The comics they have, but not in the movies that I'm aware of. But, uh, but yeah, but different storylines do things like the second Batman, the Riddler. I mean, not the Riddler. Two Face and the '90s Batman sucked with oh God, what was his name again? God, he's famous. God, he's famous guy. I can't remember his name. Uh, the guy that was in Men in Black. God, my brain's dying right now. But yeah, he sucked. But they did Two-Face again in Christian Bale series we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Last week, I forget now. But it was much better. I just didn't need to look now. 1 second. A second. And the link has been sent. Tommy Jones. That's right. Tommy Jones. He's, in my opinion at least, he sucked as the Two-Face. But the one they did in the 2000s was a much better character, I think. Probably because of the writing. God, okay, for Tommy Jones. Like I said, again, it was the writing. If I don't know if yeah, like I said, if it only would matter if the writing had been good and the character had been different. Two-Face, I'm never gonna try a Two-Face female in Batman. That'd be an interesting change.
Hey,
I guessed. Hey,
going.
so what's your opinion on changes of characters?
Personally, I think if the change comes from a good place, it usually turns out well. Like the tragedy of Macbeth was fantastic in my opinion. Denzel eats up every scene he's in. The change of Velma, I wasn't interested in because honestly, to be quite honest, I've grown up from Scooby Doo quite a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it just I don't know. Really, my opinion does change based on what change specifically it is. But I thought there's been some good ones recently. Sometimes a change in a certain character's backstory can actually lead to different connections and different relevancies that enhance the character.
Yeah, I agree. It's like the other two things I mentioned. What was your opinion of like the Ghostbuster thing in 2016?
I didn't see it, and I'm gonna be honest. I've never been a huge like diehard Ghostbusters fan, but I did do some editing on a review for it, and I had to watch some of the footage. And I've met Paul Feig at a party once. He was a very nice man. That's what I'll say. He was very kind and warm, and I don't mean to be like aggressive. I don't mean to be like shocking or mean, but by God, that was not good. The
Like I
stuff
said,
I saw.
I think if it was good, people wouldn't mind the gender thing because I don't think that's a big. Like I said, I don't think that's a big of a deal. It's just the movie just it had no connection at all to the previous movie. I think that was another thing that turned against it. Like the new generation Ghostbuster thing that happened right recently had some kind of connection to it, the past. So it had that nostalgia kick at least. If it was bad, I think it was, but
Yeah, I've just never had nostalgia for Ghostbusters, so it just wasn't an important movie to me when I was growing up. The Matrix was my important movie, so I've become immensely insufferable because of that.
Well, I didn't watch the Ghostbusters movie till much later. I grew up on the cartoon series. And the other thing I mentioned was people being pissed off about MJ and Homecoming.
Yeah, I personally like Zendaya. I think she's a pretty good actress. I think she's, she's a very pretty girl. And I think the change, I like that punk ass MJ, to be quite honest. I don't care that much if it's like true to the character already set up. I like that archetype of a person.
Yeah, actually, some people think it's more truer than the MJ originally than it's been for a while, because the original MJ was a rebel girl, thing, and she's kind of a rebel girl too, but in the opposite rebel, in the rebel of today's standards, not rebel of the '60s standards.
Yeah, she's a punk rock superstar. Personally, I'm excited for the change in the upcoming Little Mermaid movie, because it'll be the first Disney movie I can jerk off to in the theater. Hey-o, what up?
Yeah. Back to that. Sorry, man. It's like nothing against Kristen Dunst. I think she's a great actress, but that movie, her character in that movie was just terrible writing. I guess his character was just, in my opinion,
in Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
It's been a long time since I've seen those, but I remember them having a certain tip of the hat level of camp.
Yeah, she was just like,
and I think that's a desirable thing, to be honest.
I think her character was just eye candy, I guess, and just cry, rescue me character type thing.
I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with that, because it's been so long,
It's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And like I said, and so he loves that you dropped that joke.
Oh, which one?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I've had that in my set for a while. I think that's probably the perfect delivery I've done of it.
And
what are some of the positive character backstory changes that you've experienced? I'm trying to think of some myself.
Well, besides MJ, what else has it been changed? Oh, before we get into that, I'm still iffy about the Little Mermaid thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna actually watch it. It's a children's movie.
Not because he's a black mermaid, because it's the Disney remake, and most Disney remakes just
to be fair,
suck so far.
To be fair, there is a very funny aspect of people playing to stereotypes in memes. I will say that's a pretty funny thing I see. It's a very funny meme, and I'm not going to elaborate further, because that'd be dangerous to do.
Like, has there been a good Disney remake that you, in your opinion, at least?
I think it's a little odd. I can't think of a good Disney remake. Not that I dislike them or hate them. I don't watch them for the most part. They're kids' movies. I'm 30. It'd be weird for me to start watching them in theaters. 31. Jesus Christ! I gave myself an extra year of youth.
Yeah, well, nothing else is on to watch. Sometimes you get.
Yeah, I do like changes though occasionally. I thought. I apologize.
Well, technically, all Marvel movies are probably people's favorite kids' movies, but that's not stopping me from watching them.
I mean, I would believe those are for the general audiences more so. Like Marvel movies do tackle occasionally, very lightly, some pretty heavy topics, like the military-industrial complex. I believe that was a lot of the Tony Stark stuff. Is he? Sure. I mean, his whole journey is that he sold weapons to the military, and then his military weapons got sold to people that used them against him. And honestly, it's a very salient thing. I think really that's probably the most salient thing that the MCU's ever had, was that first one. Granted, you have to make a lot of connections and go in with a lot of your own specific politics for that to see it, but I think it might be there. I think that's an interesting phenomenon, actually, is that people, I have a theory that people actually, most of the time, see the politics they want to see in a movie because of the politics they have going in. Like a lot of the, I want to use Michael Bay as an example. I'm sorry to hijack your topic, but I'm a little scatterbrained right now.
Usually the podcast, it never stays on topic anyways.
Yeah. I like to think that I'll use Michael Bay as an example. I have this theory about a lot of his movies are less pro-violence than, or less pro-war than they may have surface appear to be. Like, not necessarily like they're truly subversive anti-war masterpieces, but I thought 13 Hours was actually a lot more mature than a lot of people probably gave it credit for, because simply it was a Michael Bay movie, and he's seen as this very dumb director. Probably because he directed the Transformers series. That's probably one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good-ass movie that really touched on some heavy shit.
What
should we really be there? 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, which, by the way, terrible title for a movie of that, like, complexity in terms of geopolitical accuracy. Let's say accuracy for that one. I just thought it really portrayed how fucked up the situation in Libya was pretty well, actually. I expected it to be a lot more of the dumb Transformers gags, and I was surprised to see an actual, like, semi-mature movie come out of Michael Bay.
So has there back to that's good. Yeah, I guess Michael Bay has gotten a rap for, blow up, sexy girl, blow up, movie over with.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he also does that shit very well. Like, he's a genre filmmaker, and his genre is high-octane action. He's one of the top at that. Actually, you know what change I just thought of that I thought was actually really cool and actually sort of enhanced the material it enhanced the material, but I think way too many people gave it shit for it, was Ghost in the Shell, the live-action movie. I was just watching that last night, and what's very funny is that I thought Pilo Asbæk, the guy who played Bateau, was like a great casting. It's like, oh, this guy really understands the aura of Bateau. And then it's like there's little subtle hints in the special features that it's like, oh, this guy did almost no research. Wow. He does not understand Bateau. It's weird that performance is so good. But the ScarJo thing I thought was very interesting because everyone took that at surface value. Just like, oh, we're whitewashing Japanese people. And it's like, oh, a Japanese person should have played ScarJo or the Motoko character. And it's like, guys, did you like? I get that the movie wasn't as good as the franchise it's based on. I get that. It's the best we could have gotten from Hollywood. I believe that. But also, it's literally ScarJo's casting was kind of addressing that whole point you're right now making. I just thought that was very funny when literally the people at, like, Mamoru Oshii came out and said, yeah, ScarJo's great casting for Motoko. It's like, if no one but us had, like, the people fighting for the other people have the issue with, like, if the person that we're fighting for doesn't have the issue that we're fighting against, I just find that very funny.
Yeah.
It's that savior thing, you know? It's like, no, that was actually great. Because it's like, literally, it's not a real, it belies the thought that the people watching it don't understand that that's not her body. Which is like the basis of understanding Ghost in the Shell, is understanding that it is possible to have entirely swappable bodies. That's just the point. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ghost in the Shell is fantastic. The 95 anime is one of the greatest ones of all
watch
time.
it. I've heard great things about it, but I didn't have time to watch it. So I got.
Oh yeah, I'd highly suggest it. It was one of the mainstream, like the first mainstream American animes to, like, come to America. At least in my opinion, that was like a watershed in terms of mainstreaming anime. James Cameron was used for a pull quote on the DVD cover. I'll always remember that. Although he weirdly thinks it's like part of the appeal of it being adult is like some sexual thing, when it's like there's no sex in the movie. Or that might have been Roger Ebert, that said something about it can be truly mature and sexy. And it's like, hang on, what? Are you telling on yourself, Roger Ebert? Are you telling yourself that you jacked off to this? There's no sex in this. What are you talking about? I always thought that was funny.
I guess everyone has their own fetish.
Yeah, but it's like, it's like there's raw sexuality, and it's like, no, there's fucking not. There's no way you could interpret it as having it's such a clinical movie. Oh yeah, the changes in the Dark Knight trilogy. I thought we were talking specifically about that phenomenon of race bending, but yeah, there are a lot of changes for Batman specifically. But yeah,
I guess, like I said, sorry. Is I think depending on the writer and director can take a bad something people complain about into something good if the writer's writing is that script is that good and the direction is that good.
yeah. Actually, another change in honor of Lance Reddick. I haven't seen the new Resident Evil series. I've heard it's terrible. It looked fun.
With the old one they made a few years ago, or the one that
No, the new Netflix series from last year. They made the character of Albert Wesker, which weirdly, the funny thing about that is like there's tones of like Wesker being a eugenicist, like maybe white supremacist type guy. But then like casting Lance Reddick was a wild card, but it's like I've heard that's like the one part of it that works, that series. I've heard like he's the best thing about it. R.I.P. Lance Reddick, one of the best. Holy shit. Gave his all in every performance, all the time. For everything. He just did stuff. That dude just loved doing stuff.
Double click things. There. Yeah. Good. Great Wesker. I'll watch just for him.
Yeah, I mean, there are silly things like the putting him in the Wesker from 5 suit looks like very to quote a Red Letter Media joke. He looks like low rent Blade or dull Blade. Sorry, dull Blade was the quote. And I thought that was a very funny look. But the great thing about Lance Reddick was that he was not ever ashamed to look ridiculous. He wholeheartedly took things like just said ridiculous things as if he was taking it. Have you seen his Eric Andre show appearance?
I have not.
Oh God, it's one of the funniest things because the whole bit of the Eric Andre show was they would book celebrities for it and the celebrities would go and very obviously not look into the show at all. And so he just blindside him with just nonsense. And so with Lance Reddick, you think it's going to be that because he gets really upset and he hits the desk and just walks off. And then he comes back in like a slave outfit, but with like the Star Trek visor and in chains. And it's like, I wish I was LeVar Burton. And he just repeats that for like 30 seconds. It's a fantastic clip. So funny. He was great in John Wick too. Just in everything he did. He was one of the best actors in terms of sincerity and enthusiasm for acting.
It's
60's too young, man. Fuck, my mom's younger than that. Or older than that, sorry. I was going to say younger, but no, she's older than that.
From the 60s?
No, I mean, I guess, yeah. It was about the 60s were about 60 years ago, so yeah. But yeah, to die at 60, holy shit. I wonder what it was. Did they ever give a cause?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a fucking scary thing. What's some of them other changes we got?
I know. I could be wrong. This is a more recent thing. The changing characters. This is a more recent thing, or has been going on forever. People forget about.
I mean, if in terms of culture war shit, it's definitely ramped up. In terms of aiming to be progressive, but like, if we recalled, like the Bible's been translated 1 billion times. There's obviously translation errors.
Yeah, that's a.
I think it's I can hear you. I think it's a phenomenon that's always existed. Just it's really been more noticeable and I think cynical.
The Bible right there.
Yeah, I mean it has. Language is different.
Race thing right there, because a lot of people have grown up on white Jesus.
Yeah, it's clearly that it's very unlikely to have been the case. Just very unlikely. Not impossible, but very unlikely. Given the makeup of the area currently.
Yeah, it's like, did you know that
unless Jesus was actually just a product of Yakub.
if he was a real person, he's probably Jewish, and Middle Eastern Jewish, and like, but it's like, yeah,
I
no,
mean,
he was
I
a
think
white
there's a lot
American.
of skin tones over in the Middle East, to be honest.
What?
I think there's a lot of skin tones in the Middle East. I just don't. It's varying degrees.
True, probably, especially in the the middle 2,000 years ago, it's probably different income too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large area. It's one of the cradles of civilization. Like, I don't know. There's probably a lot of diversity there, like in terms of.
Oh yeah, it was basically the crossroads of.
Yeah. Plus, we're in a global world. It was much harder to be a global world back then, but hang on, I think I lost my point. Hang on.
It took a while that there was no internet back then, so it took a little while to get around places.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the internet doesn't help it really to get us get around places yet. We're not living in that type of cyberpunk future. We're just living in the garbage one.
Like, oh, we're late to work. Let's kick online. Work in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yes, I think stories get reinterpreted and remixed all the time. I think we should actually go back to being more blatant about, like, there was an era, and it really does still exist in certain spaces, now mostly YouTube now, I think, or lower budget films. But there was a time where there was just a lot of rip-off movies where it's movies that were like very obvious about what inspired them. And I think we should be more open to that. I think most stories have already been told, and I think most of the appeal now should be considering like flavoring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's like, when you boil a story down to its most basic parts, I believe the number of actual stories that are told is like 8. It's a ridiculously low number of how many stories there actually are.
Like, well, people said The Lion King is just Hamlet.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same plot beats. I believe that's like an open thing. Like, no one really, it's not like a rumor or whatever, not like a secret thing now. I think that's just common knowledge. Just most stories are based on other stories that influenced. I kind of have this. I did mushrooms a while back, and I had this revelation: is that I think potentially we could consider art some kind of extant form of life. Art potentially is a form of life that reproduces through us in terms of, I mean, it's not probably sentient. It's like how viruses are like floating DNA or something. At least that's what I heard when I was in high school science.
So we're not going the Truman Show type thing here.
No, not like they're watching us and actively choosing. But I think art potentially is some form of life. Maybe it's a concept. It's wild and out there, but I think it's all based on perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong either. Like that part of it. If that factually is like, could we consider art life? It does reproduce.
Good.
And we're the vectors of that.
Nice. Interesting thought. Now,
you could tell I watched Ghost in the Shell when I was 9, right? From that, it's like, that's one of the most core things of my life, actually.
Sure. Well, yeah. My 9-year-old life was Fraggle Rock and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
I know. Again, I know it's not a race exchange really, but I hated that. I hated that movie came out recently.
Which one?
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh, I heard that was very good. I didn't see it, but I heard it was very good and like very like ironic.
Ironic movie thing.
What I heard it was like it was terminally online, basically. Like, oh my god, there's so many memes.
Yeah, it was more of a. I think it's kind of good. It was a good overall movie, I guess, but I guess it wasn't what I personally looking for. I was hoping for more of an actual movie about not behind the scenes. Oh, there were actors in a Roger Rabbit type thing, but an actual movie about. I wanted to see an actual movie about them in movie form. Personally,
I don't know. It's just I don't know how seriously I could take that character concept, to be quite honest, with that animation style especially.
It was terrible. It was in the 80s or 90s wasn't terrible story concept either. chipmunks and mice solving mysteries. It's supposed to be silly concept.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it a silly thing though? Like, isn't that your problem with it? Is that it's silly? Maybe I misunderstood.
Well, not the concept itself, but I wanted to be. I guess nostalgic thing. This is me personally, at least. That's kind of silly, but I don't want to see them as actors in a movie behind the thing. I want to see them as their own as the characters they played.
I personally, I come from a background where my dad was a filmmaker. I'm doing filmmaking work myself occasionally.
Oh, nice.
So I adore that kind of daily life of an artist type stuff. I've been really appreciating that kind of stuff a lot lately too in my age, because of the fact that it's just comfortable. It's comfortable to see someone who lives a life that I kind of want to live too, like as an actor, not necessarily an actor, but it's like a filmmaker. That's the life I want to be living, and I enjoy living when I do it.
Cool.
So I like those kind of.
And maybe if I ever get off my lazy butt and I'm not lazy, but I'm at 40,000 words right now. If I ever decide, I'm gonna publish this book, maybe you can make a movie out of my book I'm writing.
Oh yeah, that's a plan I have. Is I've got this idea for essentially, what I was talking about with ripoffs, that just movies that are very blatantly inspired by things. I'm doing one that's very, very patterned after just the feel of just the general cyberpunk genre, but specifically a lot of Ghost in the Shell influence. I'd say that's a huge one. Although it really started from watching this anime called Jormungand. Just the image of the lead was very inspired by the lead character in Jormungand, who's this child soldier who is hired by a weapons dealer to be her bodyguard. It's a pretty cool series. It deals a lot with the military-industrial complex, which is a big focus of mine in a lot of my my work these days. Just that whole system of we sell weapons to like oppress other nations and steal their resources, and that creates insurgencies, and that sucks because that affects a whole separate subgroup more than it affects the people that are doing the oppression.
Yeah, that's the thing. The topic. I'll change topics again. Insurgencies, like it's funny. The people that we fought against in Afghanistan, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, are the same people we were trying to help, like 40 years ago.
I mean, yeah, that's because
that's
sort of by design.
Hey, Eric.
Hey.
Welcome. Well, yeah, I thought I'd do a late thing. The main topic. So, what's your opinion on the sex race changing of certain characters in media?
Well, I say it depends on the character. Like, there are some characters I feel like you truly just can't do a sex change on. Sometimes I feel like maybe you should just create an entirely new character.
That's true. It is always. I want to piggyback off that. I always wish people would just create like more characters, not necessarily in the fact where it's like, oh, this character has to be that. It's just, hey, just make a new character. Come on, let's go. Come on, do it. It's not that I have that big of a problem even with changing another character. It's more that you could have just made a new character and that would have been even cooler.
Right? Like, yeah, exactly.
It's the domination of market share on on art. I think is that problem.
Yeah, we mentioned three of them. I'll get your opinion on first. First is the Velma character that came out recently this year.
I haven't watched it, but as far as I know, I believe they changed Velma's race, right?
Yeah.
And what were some of the other issues people had with that show?
That
there wasn't Scooby-Doo. It was like, what the fuck, man? Come on.
There's no Scooby-Doo?
There's no Scooby. There's apparently, I've heard this might be misinformation on the internet because I travel in a lot of circles where we spread misinformation amongst each other for fun. But apparently there is like a girl Shaggy dates who's like a foodie, and apparently she's called Scooby. I've heard that might be misinformation though, but it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see people get upset on that one. That's going to be very funny.
if
Yeah,
that's true,
I think
that
that
It
she's
just
also
upsets
apparently
everyone.
she's
It rules.
she's a cynic person, I guess. Too people complain about. She's like it's like a bitch, I guess. So people not any
Yeah.
other realm check your
like
change.
It's very
I
funny.
don't mind it changes,
Yeah.
but it depends on what you are changing. Like sometimes changes are completely unnecessary. I
The
mean,
other thing,
it isn't always a bad thing, but
the other thing we mentioned was the 2016 Ghostbusters movie,
Yeah.
where like
That
I
can't
listened
even
to him.
really
I
be
don't think
like.
that people would care about the sex change if the movie had been good.
It sucks
That
because I
was
like a
movie-
lot of the people associated with that. Like separately, I kind of like those people. But like, oh my god, the scenes I saw, the scene with Bill Murray was one of the most just heart-wrenchingly. I feel so uncomfortable watching this. It feels so bad. He does not look like he's having fun on set. Holy shit!
from my understanding, he was forced to do the movie under contract because apparently they were trying to do Ghostbusters 3 for the longest time, but Bill Murray was the one who was being really reluctant about it. And then and then they decided to do the all-female reboot that nobody wanted, and and it's not because it's an all-female cast.
Well, let's be fair.
Oh.
There is a contingency of people where that is the problem.
Right,
but that's different. But that's a different set of people altogether. That's
It's just it's not everyone, but that is a specific.
And like and the new Ghostbusters movie, we had a female lead. I think did much better. That because the movie was written better, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then the female Ghostbusters came out. It flopped out the box office, and critics, and critics, as far as I know, didn't really like it, and the audience didn't like it. So then, as far as I know, it was supposed to start an entirely new franchise, with sequels, but then, but because it flopped, they finally gave us Ghostbusters 3.
With an actual connection to the old series, and no one cared about the female character then because again it was good. It was a good written movie.
Yep.
The other one, and the other one I mentioned earlier is people were complaining about the black MJ in Homecoming.
Yeah, I like Zendaya, so
She's
I'm not going to
technically
complain.
not really MJ though.
Initials are MJ.
She fills the character role.
Yeah, in a way, she kind of is. Yeah, she has a character role and her initials, but it's technically not Mary Jane. It's because that's not her name, but she kind of essentially is. So I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I said it's technically. I
kind of wish they had Lizzie Kaplan as the actual MJ though.
But yeah, I read the articles about this. People apparently.
Or was that Lizzie Kaplan?
She's
the
more
girl
like
who
the
was
original MJ than recently because MJ's supposed to be like a rebel girl, and she's a rebel girl of the modern days, not a rebel girl of the '60s when MJ first came around. A '60s rebel is much different today than a 2010 rebel.
Yeah. Yeah, shit. 2020's rebels are going to be really. They're going to be really weird.
What would that be? Like a rebel of the 2020s. I'm a straight A modern student now.
Well, no, it's gonna be people who are like returning to traditional shit, and then it's going to be on the flip side people who are going even more terminally online. That's going to be the hyper war, the culture hyper war. It's just trad shit posting, and then shit posters being sincere.
Hi.
Black versus white, dogs and cats living together, chaos.
And you also mentioned Batman too. Like, sorry, nothing to do with race changes, but how at least I thought the Tommy Jones Two-Face wasn't that great, but the Two-Face in the Christian Bale trilogy was much better.
I mean, Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever, he essentially was just playing the Joker. He essentially was.
It's been a while since I saw it. Actually, did I ever see that? I have it. I have like the 4-pack collection of Batman on Blue. I don't know if I've seen that Batman.
Well, I saw the theaters like way back in the a long time ago.
He had some dripped out thugs though. Holy shit. The fucking
Yeah.
neon on his fucking carbines. Jesus Christ. They
Tommy
just put
Jones.
neon on his fucking single drum mags. That's sick.
Yeah, speaking of
So
Tommy,
cool.
speaking of Tommy Lee Jones, you don't really ever see him in that many movies anymore. Like, I think I recall seeing him in like a car commercial at the movie theater.
Oh
The
Jesus.
last movie I can remember seeing him in off the top of my head was I think Men in Black 3. And even then he wasn't really in it a whole lot.
No Country was with old for Old Men was fantastic though.
Yeah,
He's so good in that.
yeah, I definitely have heard a lot of really good things about it, but I have not seen it.
It's a very rough movie occasionally. It's dark.
I think the last thing we talked about the race changing is the people playing about it is the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, everyone's talking about that. So scientifically speaking, it wouldn't make sense for Ariel to be black because, you know.
Hang on. Whoa, be careful.
But hold up. Hold up. So from my understanding, people evolved to have that color skin. It was because people like were experiencing much harsher sunlight. So it wouldn't make sense scientifically speaking for Arrow to be black, but I mean, to be fair, Little Mermaid obviously isn't trying to be scientifically accurate because, you know, you have talking fish and, you know, and
My God, Flounder is horrifying.
yeah, so
Oh my God.
so because of that, so because of that, I can let that slide, but you know, I mean, would it have been nice to have had a white girl play Ariel? Sure, but you know,
They're never going to be Jodie Benson good. I can tell you that.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I said
It's not that why that I'm not interested in the movie. It's just I'm just sick and tired of these Disney live action remakes.
that's why I said I'm not judging here on the color of her skin. I'm judging it on the past of all Disney remakes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm just not interested in Disney movies at this point for just because I'm 31. You know, it's like for the most part they aren't made for me. It's fine. They get to exist. I'm not like complaining they exist.
But I mean, to be fair, a lot of Disney movies like do have that appeal factor, like to not just kids, you know, like to teenagers and adults. But I guess it might depend on
sorta.
what movie that you watch.
Yeah, I watch a lot of the very dark things. So
So we can find. Has there been other race sex changes in movies recently, or anime, or TV shows?
hang on. Did you say in MMA?
Anime.
Oh, I thought you said in MMA because that's been to debate, ain't it?
The only other one I could think of was in Man of Steel, where they had Lawrence Fishburne's character.
Oh, you talking about the Aquaman thing?
No.
Perry White.
Yeah,
Okay.
Perry White. Yeah. Yeah, because in the comics and everything else, Perry White was always white, but then they switched his race. I mean, I feel like for Perry White, I feel like that maybe you could switch his race. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but say if you were to make a movie about Martin Luther King Jr., switching that race would not work.
Yeah, well, that's because that is
then again,
inherently
that's a
tied into
historical
that
thing and
Van
not a
Louvre.
fictional character thing.
I just thought of something more Resident Evil. Jill in Welcome to Raccoon City and also Leon were race swapped, and I don't think the race swap was any part of why that movie didn't work at all. I think even most of it could have been salvaged with different levels of characterization. I do think the guy who played Leon he's a good actor, I think. Just I don't think that was the right performance for that. I think he could have pulled off a good Leon. I just don't think he was directed well with it. Specifically, it was like I do think he could have been good. I just thought it was very bizarre. Like Leon didn't seem to have a baseline level of training that I would consider consistent with cops. Like there's this like part where he can't rack the pump of a shotgun, and it's like, how does that occur? Like, just I've racked shotgun pumps occasionally, so I know they're not particularly difficult to rack. So it was a bizarre thing that I get why Claire was able to, because Chris trained her, and it's also not difficult. But it was very bizarre that Leon couldn't act that shotgun. That was a bizarre movie that had like a lot of different parts I kind of liked, but overall like didn't work for the most part.
Wasn't that whole movie thinking about apparently I was seeing reviews of it about they're apparently they're all just clones or something.
They haven't gotten to that in that series yet. Might be you're talking about the original Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson franchise, which I really actually enjoy a lot, because the solid logic behind the changes being made. I mean, that was a huge change. Is Resident Evil and is Paul W.S. Anderson just making up this prequel? The first Resident Evil movie is supposed to have been framed as a prequel to the original game, which, granted, the tech doesn't really line up, but aesthetic changes. It was a lot of it apparently was based on Hypercube or something, or Cube, just Cube, not Cube 2 Hypercube. Paul Anderson always has had a pretty heavy sci-fi aesthetic to his shit, so I don't fault him for adding that. And plus, Capcom liked it enough to include shit from the movie in their next game. But yeah, the Alice character was a weird decision, but I thought it was good because the logic behind it was, if we know who's going to live and who's going to die at the beginning of this movie just because they have to appear in the next sequels, then there's no horror in that anymore. There's no suspense. We're not wondering who's living and who's dying. We're just seeing a live action Let's Play. And I think that's solid logic. And I thought the worst Resident Evil movie was probably the Extinction, the third one. I just thought that didn't go gonzo stupid enough and wasn't like good enough unironically to be good.
So overall you think Resident Evil was one of the good game movie remakes?
I did not say that. They're terrible as adaptations. They, that's the point, was to be able to make these changes so you could catch the audience off guard. I love the first movie a lot. I think it's a very effective horror movie, horror action movie in the tone of Resident Evil, especially. There's a lot of things that transfer, the corporate malfeasance part of it transfer very well into the Paul Anderson stuff, although it gets fucking cartoonish. And then the games kind of start catching up to that too. I thought that's a very weird and beautiful symbiosis between those movies and games, to be honest. It's a bizarre media franchise and how interconnected the disconnected stuff is.
I never saw the movies or the games.
Oh yeah, the first movie is what made me want to be a filmmaker.
I saw the fourth movie, I saw the fifth movie, but those are the only Resident Evil movies I have seen, so I haven't seen the rest. But yeah, I do know that I heard that George Romero actually was supposed to direct the original movie.
I've read the script of that. Was not like a significant improvement to what Paul did. It's fine. It's fine. It's an okay movie. If it had been made, I'd probably think it was probably one of Romero's weaker movies.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's mid. It would have been a mid Romero movie.
So maybe it turns out that it was a blessing in.
No, I don't agree with that. I think all of these should have been made, to be honest.
Okay.
If we're living in that fantasy world where it could have been made, then I think, yeah, we can also extend that fantasy to all of this shit gets made.
Okay. So out of curiosity, you said that you're a filmmaker. Have you ever made any like feature-length films at all?
I have not produced a feature-length film. I've acted in some. I've been a second AC on a couple. I had at one point, before I consolidated, 6 IMDb pages, because the guy in charge of doing that was fucking dumb. I worked on a movie called April Rain, although my IMDb credit weirdly got taken off a while back. I don't know why. It's probably due to the consolidation I tried to do. But I'm in the credits. It's Elite Force. I was a camera PA on that. I believe the official term is second AC. I co-starred in a movie my dad wrote in 2009. I don't know why it was so slow to come back to me. It's the year I graduated high school. It's called Subprime the Comedy. I actually did a stream of it on my channel because it's not a... Brooks is a family friend. I love Brooks. And my dad helped write it. I love my dad. It's an independent comedy made in 2009. That's what I'll say about it. There's some very odd aspects of it. And I'm not saying it was like good, really. I'm not saying it's like terrible. Subprime is legendary. Robbie's seen it. Robbie knows it.
So,
Robbie remembers when I filmed it.
yeah, he mentioned his thing. What was your inspiration for a movie director?
Oh, I don't want to be a director specifically. I want to do any aspect I
Right,
can.
I meant filmmaker. Eric.
Oh yeah. No worries. It was partially the commentary of Resident Evil. Actually, it was that, but also my dad was a filmmaker. He worked on the Naked Gun movies. He wrote Basketball. He was one of the 4 writers on Basketball, executive producer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my dad was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
What was your inspiration, Eric?
Well, for me, I actually have more than one inspiration. For me, it was when I was a kid, when I saw Jaws, and also as a kid when I saw the original Halloween.
Oh, Halloween was like shot a lot in South Pasadena, my hometown.
Yep. Oh,
maybe you get together and
hometown.
Yeah, I lived in. I'm a South Pasadena boy for the most part. Burbank, South Pass, Glendale, that area.
Yeah, maybe Eric. Maybe once you're done with your third trilogy, you two get together, make a combo movie.
Well, yeah, I've been suggesting he sends me scripts for like stuff because I specialize in writing.
Okay,
I've written like 3 features that haven't been produced yet, but like they're done.
But yeah, and I actually will begin shooting my next movie in about 2 months. So I'm getting it all cast, and so when I get it all cast, I'm gonna scout for filming locations. I am still trying to at least get one bigger name. It turns out that one of the big names I'm trying to get actually is related to a high school friend of mine, actually. So
nice.
So it's possible that I might get him. I'm hoping so. Like when I say a big name, I don't mean like a big name, like say, like I don't know, Tom Cruise or something. But,
by the way, sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. You know what? That will derail it. I apologize. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. I don't mean a big name like like say Tom Cruise, but but somebody more known, if that makes any sense.
Someone with an established fan group.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
It's always weird when I remember I sort of have that too. Like not like online specifically, but like I have a weird fan group because I do a comedy show.
Okay.
I just got like recently a Facebook message from someone who found me on Facebook because they saw one of my old sets. It was pretty fun. I thought it was the Kill Tony set too, and it's like no, it was like some Hollywood comedy set that I guess he found my YouTube and saw it.
Oh. Back on topic real fast, I thought something.
Yeah, we got a little bit off topic.
Yeah, Eric, do you think anybody would care or make a big deal of that if say you either gender or race change your Keenan McCormick character?
Well, going back to what I said, if you're gonna change the entire gender of the character, like I've been hearing that like with the new James Bond. I don't know how true it is. Like I've heard rumors saying that they might change Bond's race to like Jane Bond or something like that. I'm like, just make a new character, like can't you just have it be like a Bond girl or like
his sister or niece or daughter or something,
or something. It just
one of the many girls he slept with had a kid.
Yeah, it just seems really unnecessary to me. So
yeah, but you are, I believe, overlooking an important, really cool thing.
What is it?
James Bond being a tack girl like Atomic Blonde. That's one of the hottest things in the world. Is a tack action girl.
Okay. There is that, but yeah.
Heart wants what it wants, Eric.
Yeah,
I want a tomboy waifu with a right.
So,
fuck! I fucked that
so
one.
So no female Keenan McCormick in your Kenny whatever's name is in your new movie then.
Yeah, I mean there is that. It certainly could help appeal to the male demographic, but then couldn't you still just make him like James Bond's really hot sidekick?
Why? By the way, there is a noted history of female spies.
Right, and I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for James Bond, I don't know. I don't know. It just.
Yeah, I forgot your dad's like in the FBI or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which by a huge coincidence, funny we mentioned James Bond. I know I mentioned it in some of my live streams before, but yeah, I definitely do think that my dad looks a lot like Pierce Brosnan.
Well, another thing, not even race, which is like Tommy Lee Jones said, not even sex, race characters. And a lot of people complain. I think a lot of people complain about when they changed James Bond from Sean Connery to the current ones. Now people are like, nope, never gonna be another Bond. And
Yeah,
they
it's like
were.
they don't want a new. It's like they don't want a new movie. Some of these people, it's like they exist in a superposition where they don't want a new movie with a new character. They want the nostalgia of James Bond, but then it's like, okay, so Sean Connery's dead. You realize that person, like this hypothetical person, I've seen online somewhere, I'm sure. But like those types of persons, like they don't want the new movie with the new changes, but they also, it's like you can't have the old movie though. Like if you like. You can't have a new James Bond with Sean Connery. And I think there's legitimately people I've seen online who are like, if only we still had Sean Connery. It's like, he wouldn't be doing it at 105. Come on.
Yeah, no.
Do you want The Irishman again, where it's just fucking digital recreation, this simulacra bullshit?
Like every movie now is this Sean Connery and CGI.
Yeah, it's like I don't want that. It's impressive as sort of impressive as the Mark Hamill effect was in Mandalorian season 2. I opened up a lot of issues with me personally because it's like, oh, we're just gonna have these people's souls essentially captured, not like in a literal sense, but like they will never be able to not be that role now. And I think that's a hell as an actor. They'll always be that, and maybe they don't even have to do it. It's like that's convenient, maybe, but like I think that goes against the artist's soul.
Did they have to pay the descendants of the people the CGI yet? Did they pay?
They do now, but that will likely change. They have to do it now, but in the future they might not have to. That shit is fucked up. Copyright and IP law is fucking crazy.
I guess in the future probably don't need to. I guess if everyone's digitized, everyone can be a movie then. Like,
oh my god, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I saw a thread on that on Twitter where it's like these crypto bros just like, oh man, with AI, like in the future we could just put ourselves in the movie ourselves. It's like that's a video game. That's just a video game. Just play a video game, guys. That's just what effective difference would there be? It's the same thing at that point. Just live a life. I don't know. Fuck. It's like I love video games, but holy shit. Some people are like, man, if only life was more like this video game. It's like, if only life was more like Halo. It's like, why would you want that? Holy fucking shit.
Right.
People who like think they'd do well at being isekai'd into their favorite fiction are some of the silliest people in the world. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I want to live in Attack on Titan and be cool. It's like, you would not be cool in Attack on Titan. You would be killed, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to live the life of Guts from Berserk. Thank you. I'm trying to live the life of fucking almost anyone in the fiction I consume.
Yeah, I did.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I did not want to live in a world where my mushrooms talk to me.
No, the Mario one would probably be the most pleasant, to be honest. Because there's like probably a civilian life that's very cool there.
And I'm really, but for 2 kind of mushrooms, do I eat this one or do I talk to it?
In all honesty, that form of life would probably have some level of you could just take pieces off them and it's a commodity. Literally selling their bodies. I imagine there's psychedelic toads that sell their bodies like prostitutes, but like it's food. That'd be a wild thing to portray, wouldn't it? I'm surprised that there wasn't a Super Mario Brothers movie that did that. Like the Bob Hoskins one probably should have done that. That would be very funny, to be honest. Just some seedy kind of thing. Not even seedy, just matter of factly. It's like, yeah, I sell myself for money. For stars or whatever.
And then you mentioned that.
Literally, it's just OnlyFans there.
They mentioned that, you think people would complain about that movie if it had been called Mario and it was just about weird time traveling dinosaur mushroom things?
Probably, but then the problem is they wouldn't have the name value. So
Yeah.
it's kind of going back to the exact same problem with Godzilla 1998.
I don't
People
think that movie was great without the Godzilla name either, though, to be honest. It's been a while, but it's like, wow.
I mean, in my opinion, it's a fun popcorn flick, but it really does have its problems. It really does. I mean, even besides, the whole like name value, like with Godzilla, I definitely do agree it has its problems, but
yeah, franchise imprisonment is fucking is
So
one of the worst things.
Do you think if it's been some random thing, but not Godzilla, it would still been a bad movie then?
I think it would have been a mid movie, not necessarily bad, just mid, like not great, but not the worst. There's fun aspects of it. I like the Jean Reno character.
But the fact that they called it Godzilla made people hate it.
Yeah, they hate it as a Godzilla movie more than I think they hate it as a movie itself. Although it has been a while since I've watched it, so I don't remember how good or bad it actually is.
But yeah, and people even said the same thing about the third Halloween. It was because that, like with that movie, they actually took a risk and they didn't have Michael Myers in it. And when it first came out, everybody hated it. But then over time, the movie started to gain a cult following.
Well, yeah, it's a crazy gonzo movie. I think it harkens back to like Giallo a lot. But it's like weirdly, because it's Stonehenge. It's like Irish Giallo.
Yeah.
Which is a very funny term.
I haven't watched it since I was a freshman in high school, so it's been a really, really long time. But I mean, it has to be better than Halloween Resurrection or Halloween Ends.
By the way, not Irish. I don't think Stonehenge is actually Irish, but I think the lead villain actor is Irish.
I believe so.
Yeah, so just wanted to make sure. I'm not that stupid. I'm not a smart man, but I'm not that stupid.
The Black Christmas remake from the U also suffers from what?
Probably being called Black Christmas, I would imagine.
Well, it depends on what version you're talking about, because there's a 2006 one and there's a one from
like
2019. As far as I know, there are 3 Black Christmas movies. There's the original from the 70s, 2006 version, and there's a 2019 one.
I thought there was one more.
I guess even 2019, I guess, because that's a few years ago. I'm guessing 2019, I'm guessing, because it was a few years ago.
Yeah, it's what he was talking about.
Hecka said from a few years ago. So yeah, he probably has to be talking about the 2019 one. Yeah, I heard that one was really bad. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was really bad.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned this right before you got here too. How some people have trouble. How people don't like the Michael Bay Transformers movies.
The first one's okay in my opinion. I didn't like the second or third one, and because I didn't like those ones, I didn't want to waste my time with the fourth and fifth movies. But I did see Bumblebee because it wasn't by Michael Bay, and I won't say it's like a masterpiece, but it definitely is a huge improvement over the Michael Bay ones.
Holy shit, the lore on those movies are so stupid. It rules. I recently saw a scene where it's just Bumblebee murking Nazis, and it's so funny. It's just like so ridiculous. It's like, what the fuck is this even? Oh, that's this secret conspiracy history. We've had giant robot aliens in the world for so long. It's like, what the fuck?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it like a racist stereotype Transformer in the second movie?
I believe there were 2 of those. They were
yeah, 2
pair.
of them. I'm pretty sure he was in the second one.
Yeah, it was.
Well, to be fair,
long time ever since I've seen
it was robots with dreadlocks. It was stupid.
To be fair, that one thing they got right in the movie, I guess, kind of in the original cartoon that they'd been on Transformers had been on Earth for like millions of years in a volcano, so they'd been around for a while. Either way, if you ever watched the '80s cartoon.
Yeah, and speaking of the cartoon, I don't believe any of the live-action movies ever had that iconic theme song.
You got the touch. You mean that one?
Not that I recall.
Or you mean Transformers?
Robots in disguise. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a thing that Michael Bay would have added in, like someone plays it on the radio or something.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That seems like it would have been diegetic music. But we also have to remember that might not be able to be diegetic music because the lore is that they're conspiracies. So, like, they probably, since the general public wouldn't know about Transformers, it wouldn't be a song on the radio.
But speaking of Transformers,
right? Don't they, or do they? I forget.
I'm not sure.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
But speaking of Transformers, and back in the 90s, I don't know if you guys this might be before your time, so I'm old. But I remember a lot of people complained about back in the 90s when they had the Beast Wars. People were like, no, the animals instead of cars. Like, that's gonna be stupid. Personally,
it is. It's stupid. That's why it's good.
Yeah, but I like Beast Wars technically. It's a good story and stuff. But people were like, just because it was not cars and it was animals, people just like turned off actually.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just like, that's the appeal, is that it's fucking pants on head stupid. It's the whole appeal of most of Transformers, in my opinion, is that it's ridiculous. Like, why would they take the form of cars? Why would they do that? Like, do they do that on their own home planet? Does Bumblebee exist like as a VW bug on his home planet? Are they just general shapeshifters, or do they have like specific designs they can only transform into? And why do those designs line up with like a Ford F-150?
So you never watched Beast Wars before?
Like when I was a teenager, I watched maybe 3 episodes. I was more of a reboot guy.
Oh, reboot.
That show was cash money.
Like third season when they ended up becoming an adult because of time traveling game reasons.
Yeah, I barely remember any of that, but I remember loving it.
Yeah, I remember that I watched Beast Wars as a kid. I remember me and my friend at that time were watching it at his house, and then, you know, as soon as they had Optimus Prime with the same voice actor, I was like, wait a minute, this is just like Transformers. And I got really, really confused as a kid. So
yeah, because they went back in time to when Transformers first came there, but then everyone hated Beast Machines because the story was totally out there.
Just have Linkin Park do a cover. Yeah, you know, they could have had that at least during like the end credits.
I mean, an end credits one might have been good. Yeah, that's where it would make sense probably. But is it long enough to fit end credits? Or, well, I guess they could just do 2 songs.
But also back to Michael Bay, I think a lot of people, some people hated Michael Bay Turtles thing too.
Yeah. It's another thing. I never got into the source material, so it's not something I gave a shit about to even watch.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people have that childhood nostalgia for TMNT, and that's fine. But, you know, it just never really was my thing as a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like Sonic the Hedgehog, Batman, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much me and like The Matrix, Ghost in the Shell. That's Star Wars, I guess.
For me, I don't. I grew up. Say grow up about in the 30s, but I grew up in 3 ages of Turtles: the 87 Turtles, the 2003 Turtles, and the 2012 Turtles cartoon series.
By the way, is there? I was just thinking, is there a new, with the voice actor thing that just sparked a thing in my head? Is there like, who's the current voice of the Jokers like in animation? Is that like a rotating thing, or is there like a set voice? Because I know Hamill was like the animation Joker for forever. And I think Richard Epcar took over for him.
Talking about like the new one was based on the new Harley Quinn series thing.
Yeah, because it's like, I think the guy who did that, it's like a guy I know, Jeremiah Watkins, and I wonder if he's like the new set voice of the Joker.
From my understanding, from my research, I know I did like a live stream of, I believe in my Kevin Conroy Memorial live stream when I did research. A lot of people have been bouncing back and forth between the Joker. Like, I know that Troy Baker is one of them.
I mean, that I would say as if that shocks. He's everything. God, by God, talented, but by God, he is everywhere.
Yeah, and
he is the new Steve Blum.
And who was that guy who voiced the Joker in the Batman, the Red Hood?
I think that might have been Epcar.
I
feel like it was Epcar.
I mean, he certainly was no Mark Hamill, but I thought he did a pretty decent job. It's just, it's just Mark Hamill just set the bar so high.
Oh, it's John DiMaggio in that one.
John DiMaggio, that was
He's great.
But yeah, and the really cool thing about Troy Baker is that he voiced both Batman and the Joker. So
yeah, he's a very talented actor, Troy.
Oh yeah.
It's just I am a little burned out. Little tiny bit burned out on Troy Baker. Love him to death. He's great. But by God, come on, man. Give someone else a shot at this point.
Yeah, that was kind of how I felt about Dwayne Johnson for a while. Dwayne seems like a very, very nice guy, and Dwayne has really good charisma to him. But there was a time around 10 years ago where he was in every movie that would come out. So
yeah, but he wasn't. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, I was thinking of something else. So my apologies. Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I totally get why that Mark Hamill said he wants to retire from the Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, I do get why. It's because of how Kevin Conroy passed away, but it does suck.
Yeah, I am also a big believer in, like, Mark Hamill is a man who, by God, if there's a more pigeonholed actor in the fucking world who's done his best to stop being pigeonholed, I can't think of him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm now only known as Luke Skywalker or the Joker for the most part. Oh God.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel about doing comedies, because so far the only movies I have done are comedies, and after I wrap up things that piss me off, the movie 3 and 4, I really don't want to be typecast like to doing only things that piss me off, and I don't want to be typecast doing only comedy. So that's why afterwards I'm gonna try and do a horror film. So
all right, hell yeah.
I think you're doing you're doing a 4. I thought you were having a trilogy.
So it has been announced. You probably didn't hear it. So it's basically kind of like how the last Harry Potter was in 2 parts. So the 4th movie technically is still the 3rd movie, but it's just part 2. So
yeah, it's a Kill Bill scenario.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So
what is they do a lot of movies, and like Twilight, Harry Potter. Why did they do that? Spent like the 3rd movie, like 2 movies instead of just 1 movie.
Because they wanted to keep in a lot of the details of the books, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really want a live-action adaptation of the Arkham Asylum game, directed by the director of Dread. That would be badass.
That'd be sick. That'd be pretty fucking sick. Hell yeah. I should play those games. I got them a while back.
I remember after Dread came out, everybody on the internet was saying Carl Urban should be the new Batman.
It should be another Dread. Fucking Christ, I want that so bad. I gotta get that in 4K.
Yeah, it's just such a shame that movie bombed at the box office, because that was one of the best movies of 2012. And it blows my mind to know that movie came out almost 11 years ago. That is crazy. I feel old, but
yeah, kind of a fucked up thing.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Back to old stuff real fast. I could be wrong that I think one of the things people complain about, even though it's the concept is crazy anyways, Ninja Turtles, but like they learned their ninja skills from a book instead of being trained either via a human turned into a rat or a rat that learned it from a human itself. They're like, no, we learned it from a Ninja for Dummies book. I think people complain about one thing.
Oh man, I just want to see them doing high kicks like James Robert Clerk III, an internet lolcow. My God, I've seen that man's karate videos, and they're so like, I don't know a lot about karate or like hand-to-hand combat other than like what could be, I guess, considered gun kata. But by God, to see James Robert Clark III, this crazy person online, I think he truly believes he's good at karate. He's just not at all good. Like, it doesn't take a lot to dismantle his videos. It's so funny.
Has anybody else ever been? We mentioned typecast and character casting. mentioned Mark Hamill. Anybody else been either typecast or something? Oh, I guess the other thing typecast
Harrison
would be
Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford's been typecast to fuck.
No.
And he hates it openly. It's like, fuck.
Oh, I could be wrong with this, but I think their typecast person would be what's his name? God, I can't.
Will
names are confusing.
Ferrell. Will Ferrell definitely has been typecast.
I think that's mostly voluntary, though.
Yeah. Also, a lot of horror movie actors, like say Kane Hodder and like Robert Englund.
Yeah, the guy who was in Slaughterhouse did basically that role for every one of his movies.
Yeah. So
what's his name?
That's getting a re-release.
I'll get. He's mostly always the villain in movies or cartoons.
I bet you're thinking of Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito.
No.
Damn.
Christopher McDonald from Happy Gilmore. He definitely got typecast playing the bad guy.
He played the clown in the first It movie.
Oh, Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
I don't know. He has a pretty varied. I don't think that man's actually been as typecast as expected.
I guess, but
I don't think he's typecast.
But he's listen, except for very few things, he's always the villain in most things I've seen. Most of the time. Or the
I'm
bad
trying
guy.
to think of something, but yeah, kind of. I guess he just likes being like that edgy guy, kind of. That's another one that it feels like he's doing that on purpose. That feels like it's a stylistic choice from him. Like these feel like roles that are offered to him. He's like, yeah, that one sounds fun.
Even in the cartoon, there's a cartoon called The Mighty Ducks. He was a villain in that too.
Yeah. I think that one's intended though.
Long time. I haven't seen that since I was a kid on VHS. Talk about blast from the past.
Yep.
So you want to be
Iko Uwais as Robin? Who was that?
Oh, Iko Uwais. Yeah, he'd be a fun Robin.
What word?
Iko Uwais is the guy from The Raid.
I saw The Raid 2 a long time ago.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Okay. Maybe I have to see it again to get a refresher.
Oh, yeah, that's a sick movie.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Tim Curry going to voice the Joker in the Batman, the animated show?
I think he was reached out to. I think that is a thing.
It would have been very interesting.
Oh, no, Iko Uwais wouldn't be Robin. He'd be Terry, the Batman Beyond kid. That'd be fantastic. Because I just saw the comment. Basically, it's a Batman Beyond movie.
I have been wanting there to be a live-action Batman Beyond movie for the longest time.
Yeah, that show has a cool aesthetic that would be probably represented fun in live action.
Yeah.
There are some things where it's like, this should stay a cartoon, but Batman could work.
Lion King.
Beyond. Well, I mean, it did. It did stay a cartoon, technically.
Technically.
Not a live action plate in that I would imagine.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. It's like everyone's like live action Lion King. It's like, no, it's fucking not.
You
absolute buffoon.
I think that's the ones that complain about
live action, but it's all CGI, so it's
not photoreal.
I think actually was the one complaining about Lion King that was different from the other movies. It was too much like the original for everyone's taste.
Yeah, and it's like also they're just much less expressive because they're photoreal. It's like,
and that was the
capacity for that.
That exactly was the problem with it, and that's why Lion King doesn't work when it's that realistic. It works better as an animated movie. The Batman kind of had a vibe to Batman Beyond.
It was the Reds.
I haven't seen that show since I was a kid, so I don't really remember the Batman. As far as I know, there was a crossover with the Batman, and I believe there was like Batman versus Dracula that was set in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of. There's Scooby-Doo fights eldritch demons and shit.
So
it's fucking weird. The
who
cartoons get
weird.
weird.
In the new Batman movie, who was that?
That was Paul Dano. Paul Dano was great in that. Holy shit, he reminded me too much of my roommate.
See, so Eric,
My roommate literally thinks he's the Riddler.
Did you like that Riddler better or worse than your Jim Carrey
Schizophrenic.
Riddler?
So, I mean, both of them are very different takes on the Riddler. I mean, with Jim Carrey and Batman Forever, it was meant to be more campy. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, but with the Batman, well, like with Mecha G, when you say the Batman, are you talking about like the cartoon called the Batman, or are you talking about the live action one with Robert Pattinson?
Live action one he is.
Okay, yeah. Sorry
that was a hell of a movie.
But yeah, I am so sorry that I misunderstood your comment. I'm sorry, but yeah. But I mean, it would have been nice for the new Riddler to have the more comic accurate look, but the problem was, I don't think it would have worked for it. So yeah, I mean,
I think Robbie's literally in the hall, by the way.
But yeah,
I think he's tweeting from commenting from right outside my room.
Oh,
speaking of changes in characters, I think you talked about this. I think I talked about this a little bit during his copyright stream. What do you think about the change of the Winnie the Pooh Killer Bear thing?
I didn't mind that. I did do a review of it. It took itself way too seriously when it should have gone more of like the horror comedy route, because nobody can take that seriously as Winnie the Pooh as a horror movie. So
that's why I think it might be that level of this is a joke. The joke is we're taking it very seriously. That's my thought. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But that might, from what I've seen of it, it looks like that's what it's going for. It's like this is.
I am terrible jumpy. I'm too jumpy and gory list to even see a horror movie to begin with. But like, I don't know.
I mean, I also want to be fair. It is also a gag that would have been on Newgrounds in like 2004.
I could totally picture that.
It's childish, but like I also like that a little.
But you think if people would care so much, but if they wasn't using established characters Winnie the Pooh, people wouldn't care as much. Like a Godzilla or again the Godzilla or Turtle thing. If it wasn't named that, would people care as much?
But yeah.
I mean, but that is the whole impetus to do it is, hey, wouldn't it be fucked up and crazy if Winnie the Pooh killed people? Which is, by the way, there's a very funny, like, story. I think, like, Kevin Smith read it on Opie and Anthony or something, where it's, like, just a psychotic Pooh Bear, where it's, like, he's loading a shotgun and killing people in his place. Mecha's here. Hang on, I'm gonna go let him in. 1 sec.
But yeah, holy crap! I actually had no idea that he. Yeah, I actually had no idea.
Bang, bang, bang. We should have just added sound effects. That would have been fun.
So close.
Hang on, guys. Mecha's here. 1 sec.
Hey, Mecha.
Oh no, you're out.
I'm breaking the immersion.
Oh no, I'm not actually in a cyberpunk cityscape. That's pretty sick. Look at that.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go sit down.
All right, I'm gonna head out and hang with Robbie. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, before we go, we'll wrap this up. Before you go, anything coming up on your channel you want to advertise?
Oh yeah, I can be found. Hang on, let me get my socials up. 1 second.
But yeah, before you go, I totally have been meaning to send you some of my scripts, but I completely spaced out on it.
Yeah, no worries, no problem.
So, question. I can't remember or not. Do you have my email address?
Yeah, and anyone. By the way, this offer is open to basically anyone. It's QuinnWright338. That's QUINNWRIGHT 338 @gmail.com. That's if you want to send me like something to look over, I'll do it. Anyone. Offers open. My socials are. Hang on. Twitter and Instagram, right on target. My YouTube is right on target. Twitch, right_on_target. And you can donate at Ko-Fi. You can also buy prints there, I believe. I got to update that. I do a lot of photography. A lot of this background is my photography and videography.
Nice.
Like little parts of it. This thing in the background that's like the Hilton or something. Some hotel in Hollywood. Hang on. I also got to ask Robbie because we shot a short for a Junebug thing. And I want to release the scene because, it's a fucking great scene. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. 1 sec.
Nakajima.
Anyways, I'll head out. Talk to you later, guys.
Right.
You got a question?
See you later.
Hang on.
I'm watching.
Hang on. Live on the stream. Robbie, can I post Coda?
I'll head out.
Can you post what?
Coda.
Oh no, you can't.
You son of a bitch.
No, Junebug won't allow me.
Junebug holds the copyrights. Everyone, go tell Junebug to let us release Coda. No, do not harass him though.
Okay.
All right.
See ya. What about you,
Peace.
Eric? Anything besides your movie plans coming up
Right.
on your channel?
I'm trying to get another celebrity like for me to talk to on my channel, you know, like for an interview. I did interview Sarah Karloff and I've been meaning to edit that, but just, you know, I've been just so busy with school, I just haven't really had time. But yeah, look forward to the interview with Sarah Karloff. And other than that, you know, there was my third movie, but I actually decided that I'm not going to have that premiere on YouTube because it has just such a bigger budget compared to the other movies. I'm gonna attempt at getting it on Tubi or Amazon.
Nice.
All right.
As for
Yeah,
me,
Subprime's on Amazon. I forgot. I think at least.
yeah, as for me, next week I'm going to be talking about the last of the Anglo-Saxon England people. If you like that, come down. You want to help the stream? You scan the donate link right there. Help me get the stream upgraded if you can. But until then, I'll see you all next time. Never stop learning and enjoy the randomness.
See you
I'll
later.
see you then.
All right. Peace.
Bye.